Hi, I'm Garrett Bunzel, Product Manager at Versium, and today I'm excited to show you our newest data hygiene tool, Dedupe. As you can see on my screen, we have a new tile under the data hygiene tools, Dedupe. Its short description tells you what it does, identifying duplicate records in your list. You'll know some other tools that do that, like Excel helps you with that, Google Sheets. We're trying to do it in a more visually friendly way that makes it really quick to think through the logical steps of how to compare and prioritize data that's most important to you. So clicking into this, you'll notice our import list tool. We do have a couple of helpful tips here. The Dedupe tool is free to all of our current Reach subscribers. So that's an awesome perk there. And we also have some tips here of what you can expect to get out of a dedupe process. So after you're done going through the deduplication and running the job, you'll end up with a zip file containing different outputs, which you can see we have little hover overs to kind of describe what to expect. So if we bring in our file, loads quickly, we'll do a quick mapping. Now we have the mapping steps here currently. This is kind of important for future jobs, and one of the things that we're doing here is just making sure we have these lined up so that when we get to future append work, we can still utilize those mappings. But for Dedupe, if you ignore it, you still get to see it. So that's an important point to keep in mind. Going through here, you'll see this is the data that we loaded. Some fun characters. We're able to then look at, these are the columns that we want to bring in to do a comparison. And it's important to note, like down here we can see, you know, here is the criteria we've selected, and that's going to create this AND logic of, you know, creating the exclusivity that we want to understand for when we compare each row. We're looking for first name and last name and email, and if the tool finds any of those rows that match that, it will mark it as a duplicate. And actually in the next step, we're going to work on prioritization, which will help say, well, out of those duplicates, which one do I want to keep? So something important here is, you know, less is more in a way. You definitely, if you have a really messy file with a lot of duplicates, you could select a lot of columns, but you really want to focus in on, you know, what are the kind of the key indicators that you could even see, because what we're trying to do here is build the logic of what you would do if you were going to go through the file one at a time. Some important things that we also just help users on is if you select too much, we'll kind of remind you of that, which is fine. If you select too much and you realize that, you can also hit that deselect all and just back out and start over. We also have more advanced options, and that includes fill rates, so you can kind of see some of our default settings that are available. So this is just logic that most people are going to want to consider when they're deduping, but we still have these settings here just for that, like fringe cases where you might want to take that out, or, you know, be case insensitive or case sensitive. So yeah, and you can adjust those by the columns. We have a little preview here, so you can look at that, and all the hover overs, so you can kind of understand what those settings are. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can just click on through and go to the next step. And this is also optional. This is pretty powerful though, I think, for when you get really big data sets, or you're dealing with sales leads and you had multiple accounts open at different times. Maybe you have you have that data that is going to be compared upon. So that's where we have these like lock columns. But now you're saying, okay, but I want like the oldest records, so like create dates. Or you're like, well, also I want people who scored well in HubSpot, because maybe they came in at different times. Maybe like the name and the contact information is the same, but for some reason they scored higher in this case. So we can actually drag and drop these depending on what your preference is. You could even add in more and sort these out depending on what your kind of criteria is of how you want to keep it. So this is really good if you have like columns that could contain notes, or maybe other identifiers that are important to you. Like you saw, I selected create date and a score. There could be sales data, like amount sold, and you want to get that information and kind of keep that in mind of like what's the total sales from that contact. Again, we do have like the options here available, and we can see like the fill rates of those, as well as the default options. You can also change things, sort numerically, and put that in your input. Say we want to have HubSpot score descending, and then put that create data as the second. So from there, we can then go through, double check that's what we want. We also have these helpful arrows on both, or you can search or use a drop down, depending on how big your file size is. We're expecting to be able to scale this tool so you can run files that are far larger than you would be able to eyeball. It would be too tedious, or you'd have to outsource that. So we're trying to avoid that and just build something here that you can quickly run through this test. So after that, you hit create once you saved your project, and then we will get our duplicates reported back to us. And it's pretty fast. You'll see that some of them were ignored because we did have some blanks. We do also provide stats around groupings. We plan to even provide more stats in the exports soon. And if you're curious, you can always go back and check your details, kind of like our receipt. I was like, hey, here's what I selected, and here's just the stats. Let's take a look at that export. So as you can see, we have the zip file here, and if we open that up, we get 3 outputs. So let's put this in list form. You can see I have a combined file, a duplicates file, and unique file. If you look at the combined file, that matches the data that we input. It also returns back a list of duplicates, so whether things are unique or if there's trailing duplicates, and they're all in the order that we put them in based off of the prioritization step. So you'll see matching names, and then also the dates and the scores that they had. So this is the one of the 3 files. The other one is the uniques file, and that'll give you the output of the prioritized duplicate that we've determined is the most important one to keep. So you can see here we have 100. We cut that file down out of the 238 that we had in the previous file. There's no additional column here. We did add like the original line, so you have a sense of like where it's from, the line number. And what this gives you too is a file that you can then go back to Dedupe and enhance and use that for other jobs. So you can append or build an audience off of that. And that's why we did the mappings at the beginning. So I hope that was helpful, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much.